So I bring this up because one of the things that we do in the United States after a flood or an event is we rebuild. Perhaps we put homes on stilts to be able to elevate them. We also look at ways to improve emergency response or improve evacuation procedures. But if social identity and memory and social capital and community competence are dimensions and elements that seems to make communities more resilient, do we have the tools to be able to understand these dimensions of resilience? Are we designing programs, interventions, based upon these capacities? So it's with that we started thinking about what is resilience within the context of the Resilient Africa Network. And that's the theory of change. The theory of change, in the simplest terms for the Resilient Africa Network, is that by understanding how people and systems are coping and adapting and transforming when faced with adversity, we can design interventions that build upon this capacity. And by doing so, we increase the likelihood of reducing risk and vulnerability and strengthening resilience. Through this process that has unfolded over the last 2 years of this dialogue of bringing the university partners together, of their engagement within their communities, we developed a conceptual resilience framework. And it starts with understanding the context. We have to prioritize the challenges. The reality is that with finite resources, we cannot strengthen resilience to everything. So therefore, all of the university partners had to go through this contextual analysis to prioritize what was the most pressing challenges within their community. By doing so, we also then identified whose resilience they wanted to strengthen and resilience to what. So this context analysis emerging out of that allowed them to enter into the community and really start talking to the community about these challenges. And through a series of focus groups and key informant interviews, they were able to identify resilience dimensions, which is what my colleagues and the panelists will be able to get in a little bit more detail based upon their own specific context. But once we identified these resilience dimensions, these capacities, the Resilient Africa Network doesn't stop there. It has resources to be able to then support African innovators, to be able to take this deepened knowledge about what makes people capable to be able to design resilience interventions and innovations. And then we have to evaluate the impact. How do we know, as we pointed out here, that we're making a difference? So it's an iterative process where starting with that deepened context analysis, and there's no better partner to engage in this than our university partners who know the community that are able to go out there and partner. So Professor Kazea has already mentioned the definition of resilience for the Resilient Africa Network. But through this process, again, that I noted that the partners had to prioritize, each of the countries then went back to the communities and started having this dialogue about what were they most challenged with. So emerging out of this, you'll see in the State of African Resilience Report that there are many themes that our partners are addressing. So in the DRC, they're looking at gender-based violence. How do you strengthen resilience? Rwanda, they're looking at floods and landslides. Ethiopia, recurrent droughts. Malawi, drought, floods, and HIV/AIDS. So we're not looking at one aspect of resilience. We're looking at here in terms of a broad scope. And I think that's the challenge for us, is to be able to make sure that while we are trying to address that local context, that the Resilient Africa Network also as a network is able to learn from each one of these studies. So what we saw coming out of this collective research on the part of the partners